The great tour of the American League West has begun. First stop, Seattle, to see the king, right-hander, Cy Young Award winner, Felix Hernandez. And the legend, one of the greatest hitters ever to live, Ichiro. Tonight, Seattle is home, and it's late night with a Fish. The Marlins tour of the American League West starts in the Emerald City. Beautiful downtown Seattle. Safeco Field, home of the Seattle Mariners. Except for these 3 games. The Marlins are the home team against the Mariners. The Fish arrived. The roof was closed all afternoon. They have just opened the roof. Jack McKeon getting his first look at this beautiful ballpark as the Marlins and the Mariners collide. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. This is certainly an interesting way to start. Now, the Marlins will go to Oakland. They will go to Texas. But playing here and being the home team, thanks to Bono and you too, playing down in Miami, is a little bit odd and a little bit fun.
You know, it's fun. It's a little confusing, but I know a couple of things. You and I are up here next to each other, and there's Marlins baseball not too far away.
And it's late night with the Fish. Let's document how the Marlins have arrived here and where they're going. Tommy, it was a nice stop in New Orleans.
We had a nice stop, about a 45-minute fuel stop in New Orleans, and I thought the odd thing about that, nobody got off the plane and nobody got on the plane.
That's a good thing.
That's a AAA affiliate of the Fish. And then I was confused before the trip how to pack. Do I bring a sweater vest? No, it's going to be too hot in Texas. It's going to be 100 degrees. But yes, it could be cool in Oakland. It could be cool here in Seattle. So who knows, we may break out the sweater vest. Lots of travel, but lots of baseball.
I think it's cool that we get a chance to see the Cy Young Award winner from the American League. Now, the hitters might not feel that way. King Felix going for the Mariners, and for the Marlins, Ricky Nolasco going, and it's time for Ricky to get going, and he'll tell you that himself.
Yeah, it is, and King Felix, he has been going, and this guy won the Cy Young last year, got the lowest run support in the American League of anybody. Off to another good start. He's consistent. He has just tremendous stuff. Ricky Nolasco, his last 5 starts have not been the Ricky Nolasco we're used to seeing. Last time he won a game in San Francisco, May 24th. Let's see if the real Ricky shows up tonight.
Our Coventry Healthcare of Florida pitching matchup, and it's a good one. King Felix against Ricky Nolasco. When we get back, it's a homecoming for Greg Dobbs, who got his start in the Mariner organization. He'll talk to Frank Fort when we get back. Seattle Mariners. Let's go down below and start things with Frank Fort.
All right, thanks very much, Rich. A bit of a homecoming of sorts for a couple of California guys, Rich Waltz and Greg Dobbs, who have ties here in Seattle. Dobbs broke in with the Mariners in 2004, played with a lot of great players, and had a very eventful first at bat in the big leagues. Greg, you broke in here in 2004, and some pretty good ball players. I was looking, of course, Ichiro and a guy like Raul Ibanez. What was it like breaking in with that team?
It was pretty memorable. There were some great names, great players, historic players as far as the Mariners franchise is concerned. Guys like Mike Cameron, Dan Wilson, Edgar Martinez, Brett Boone. My first couple spring trainings also got to be around John Olerud. I mean, the list goes on and on.
So it was great for a young guy.
It was. In Philadelphia.
All right, I'll see you about the third.
All right, you ready to go? So is Ricky Nolasco, and so is Ichiro. And here we go in Seattle with the Marlins as the home team. Got the home white pants on and the black tops as Nolasco misses to Ichiro. It's Ichiro, Brendan Ryan, and Adam Kennedy for the Mariners. And Nolasco misses inside. And, of course, the Numbers on Nolasco, 4-3, but they don't tell the whole story. He has scuffled his last 5 starts.
Yeah, he really has, and even his last time out, no strikeouts in that outing in Tampa.
A pop-up, Hanley Ramirez calls for it, and Ichiro, who's riding a 11-game hit streak, is out number 1. Here's the lineup for Eric Wedge and his Seattle Mariners. Brought to you by Warren Henry Automobiles. You've seen Ichiro. You've seen Brendan Ryan a lot as a St. Louis Cardinal, and you've seen Adam Kennedy a lot as well. Remember, Justin Smoke came through Miami as a Texas Ranger last year. Dustin Ackley is a big-time prospect that is just up, an All-American at North Carolina. Miguel Oliva, one of our favorites. Carlos Peguero in left. Franklin Gutierrez in center. And King Felix will hit ninth. No designated hitter. And here is Brendan Ryan. Ryan, one of the best defensive shortstops in the game, and yet another alum from Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks.
A former Cardinal is Brendan Ryan. I think under these unusual circumstances, the weirdest part and probably the toughest to adjust to would have been for the 2 starting pitchers. Because when you're in a road city, you usually don't pitch at the same time you do as you start a game when you're at home. So I think both pitchers, both Ricky and Felix Hernandez, had to make a little bit of an adjustment today.
2-0 pitch, and Nolasco gets a strike. Scott Berry is calling balls and strikes. Wally Bell, Laz Diaz, and Corey Blazer are on the bases. And, of course, the Marlins are here because of the U2 concert down at Sun Life Stadium. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Ryan, and he fouls it back. U2 on tour is an enormous undertaking. They have 3 giant stages, one in the stadium in which they are playing. The other stage is being set up where they're going. The other stage is being taken down where they've come from. And so that's why they need a stadium for 10 to 12 days if they're going to come in concert. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Nolasco misses outside, and the music as the Marlins took the field was from U2.
Beautiful day.
Now the roof is in motion right now, Tommy, as they start to close the roof here. Hanley picks it up, fires it to first in time. And Ricky Nolasco off to a good start.
Here's I think they just wanted to confuse us a little bit more. Start the game with the roof open, then start to close it. We'll take a look at the defense. No confusion here. Brought to you by Volkswagen. Lomo, Bonifacio, Stanton in the outfield. Heard a nice little piece from Greg Dobbs. The beginning of the game, Hanley, Omar Infante, and Gabby, and John Buck behind the plate. Yeah, the roof was closed during batting practice. Just before first pitch, they opened it. Now it looks like they're closing it again.
There's a strike.
Can't they make up their mind here, Rich, in Seattle?
Here is Adam Kennedy. The weather changes quickly in Seattle, much like Miami, where I hear it's raining right now.
Yes, it's raining right now. Much needed rain.
Breaking ball for a strike. Adam Kennedy, kind of a survivor. He has bounced around a bit. We saw him with the Washington Nationals. He's been here in Seattle. And Eric Wedge has him in the lineup because his bat has shown a little bit of pop this year. And Seattle needs as much pop as they can get. This has been an offensively challenged team over the last season and a half. Last year for Seattle, and it was Don Wakamatsu who was the manager. They were a record-setting offensive team in the wrong direction. The lowest scoring American League team since the DH in 1973, and Nolasco misses in. To Kennedy, it's 1-2, and that trend has kind of continued this year, Tommy, but they're a better offensive team this year, believe it or not, than last year. Here's the 1-2 from Nolasco.
I'll say, too, something has to break tonight in one-run games, because they just came off the 3-game series in Washington. They were swept 3 games. They lost 3 one-run games. And, of course, we know the Marlins, in their last 12 one-run games, they've lost.
Here's the 2-2. So the things we know, the Marlins are the home team. It's raining in Seattle, and Jack McKeon glanced up to look at the roof, which is moving right now. The roof closing from right field is hovering right about above second base as it goes from right field back over the third baseline. 2-2 to Kennedy. In the air. Hanley out. Morrison in. Lomo is there, and Ricky Nolasco has a quick inning for the Marlins, who are the home team and are coming up next. In this series, and here's the lineup brought to you by Warren Henry Automobiles. The Warren Henry advantage. Emilio Bonifacio in center, Logan Morrison in left, Gabby Sanchez at first base, Hanley Ramirez the shortstop, Greg Dobbs back home at third base, Mike Stanton's in right, John Buck behind the plate, Omar Infante at second, and Ricky Nolasco hits ninth. And here is Bonifacio. And the Marlins get their second look in their history at Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, it was back in 2008. He beat the Marlins, went 7 1/3, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, had 9 strikeouts.
He's beaten a lot of people since then.
Yeah, he has.
Although with a little more run support, he would have beaten a lot more.
And look at his career in 93 starts at Safeco.
He's just 25. He got to the big leagues early. This is already his 7th season in Seattle. And last year, of course, a Cy Young Award winner. Bonifacio has never faced the Mariners, and his bunt fouled at the plate. Miguel Olivo working with Felix Hernandez tonight.
Rich, the superlatives are so many for King Felix. There is his court out there down the left field line. King's Court.
Along with a juggling gesture. Here's the 2-2.
Oh.
Got him. So King Felix dispatches Emilio Bonifacio.
And what I was saying about the superlatives, you can go on and on and on about Felix Hernandez and the things that he's accomplished. And he allows you to do so because he usually goes 7 innings or more.
Oh, he is a horse, Tommy. He led the American League in innings pitched last year. He made 34 starts, and of course he had the lowest ERA, and he won the Cy Young despite a record of just 13-12. And here's Morrison, who climbs in. Lomo takes a fastball. He's got such good life, and as you pointed out, he has 4+ pitches. Lomo in a little bit of a dip right now. His average down to 271. That's kind of a Bugs Bunny curveball there, almost a video game-like look to it.
You almost expect to hear the.
Speaking of that, you can hear that and see that if you follow the games on the iPad app, which we do. The iPad app tonight has the backdrop. It has the backdrop of every home park. It has the Sun Life Stadium backdrop. So when you look at the iPad for the score and you see Sun Life Stadium, you don't see Safeco Field. Someone apparently didn't get the memo. 2-2 to Morrison. Gabby Sanchez is on deck.
Quick scouting report on Felix Hernandez. A power pitcher, 4 legit pitches. One of those a split. We've seen some nice curveballs. And I did one little bit of research, and I was really, really amazed. You talked about last year the run support, worst in the league. He was 13-12. But you know what he was against the Yankees? 3-0 against the Yankees and an 0.35 ERA.
Well, it's the one thing that Seattle has right now is a dynamite rotation. The pitch is inside, and Logan Morrison works a walk. So Lomo is aboard. Seattle is a very good defensive team.
Check in on the outfield. Pretty good defensive outfield. Carlos Piguero, Franklin Gutierrez, Ichiro. 10 gold gloves for Ichiro. Kennedy moves over to third with Dustin Ackley just called up. Brendan Ryan at short. Justin Smoke at first. And as Rich pointed out, one of our favorites, Miguel Olivo, behind the plate.
Here's Gabby Sanchez now. And Hernandez from the stretch pours in a strike.
Rich, what is it about backup catchers? Mike Redmond was always one of our favorites. Matt Trainer, one of our favorites. Brett Hayes is growing on us.
Gabby hits a ball to left field. Piguero is there, and he makes the catch. And there are 2 outs here in the first inning. Well, Olivo, the one thing about Miguel is that since he was a Marlin, he's had a nice run. He had a nice 2-year stay in Kansas City. He had a solid year last year in Colorado. And he parlayed that into a 2-year contract here. And it's his second stay here. He originally arrived in Seattle in the Freddie Garcia trade when the Mariners sent Freddie Garcia to the Chicago White Sox long ago. Here's Hanley now. And one of the storylines for the Marlins coming into this series is Hanley Ramirez. Certainly all eyes were on Hanley in the Angels series. In game 1, of course, Jack yanked him out of the lineup when he was late for that original meeting. And then he responded with 2 outstanding games, offensively and defensively, in games 2 and 3.
Could be the best 2 back-to-back games that Hanley's had all year. I'll tell you one thing about this game in particular, and possibly even the series. You're going to have to, if you expect to win games in this series, you're going to have to do every little thing correctly with the pitching that the Marlins are going to see and with the pitching the Mariners are going to see.
Two-0 pitch coming. It's down low, and he's gone 3-0 to Hanley Ramirez. Greg Dobbs on deck.
Taking practice swings right-handed.
Hanley goes after that fastball. And it's out of play. You go back to Wednesday. Here's Hanley. Knocked in a couple of runs. Of course, he had 2 hits the night before as well. And then with the glove as well, he was spectacular that night.
And had a nice approach at the plate, taking some pitches up the middle.
Whoa! Morrison is picked off. He was leading. Felix got him. And the inning ends just like that. Logan Morrison. We're scoreless. Fan balloting underway for the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and you can help the Marlins get there. Vote the maximum 25 times online at marlins.com and get a pair of tickets to a future Marlins game. And you can watch the game on Big Fox on July 12th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. From Phoenix, home of the Diamondbacks. Justin Smoke, Dustin Ackley, Miguel Olivo all lined up. And Nolasco gets inside, and it sounded like he broke Smoke's bat. This has been a bright spot offensively for the Seattle Mariners. Justin Smoke has hit in 7 straight. He was a big piece that came back in the Cliff Lee trade. And I think people forget that Cliff Lee was with this ball club. And Smoke actually came through South Florida when the Rangers came through last year.
We saw a little bit of him. He's been a nice piece of that puzzle, too. He's a switch hitter, leading their club, home runs, RBIs.
Ricky misses inside, and it's 1-1. He had challenged to score runs last year. You talked about the numbers this year as well. Smoke pulls it. They feel that with Ackley coming up, to see the rain falling outside of Safeco Field, they've drafted well. They feel that the farm system, Jack Zarensik, the general manager, thinks that in a year or two there'll be more weapons here offensively. Here's the 1-2. Ricky runs a changeup away and gets a strikeout. So down goes Smoke, and here comes Dustin Ackley, the second overall pick in 2009, and a guy that made a living. Well, he didn't make a living, but turned himself into a great player and got a great contract in college at North Carolina. And he pulls that one on the ground. Gabby picks it up, steps on the bag, and there are 2 outs, and here comes Olivo.
Ricky is mixing it up well, and the other thing that impressed me in the first inning, he got a fastball at 94. Last couple of starts, we haven't seen quite the same consistency in his velocity, so that was good to see.
When Miguel Olivo was a Marlin, it was well known that you don't throw him a first pitch fastball, because more times than not he would come out of his shoes swinging at it.
And Ricky would know that as well as anybody. First pitch fastball, but he threw it on the outer part of the plate.
Now, before the ball game, you know, pitchers go through their routine. They go out and run in the outfield. The catchers come out as well. And there's Olivo and Nolasco. Olivo is one of the strongest men in the game.
Strong like bull.
Yes. I mean, he is rock solid. He's not a huge guy, but he is one of the most immovable objects. A low center of gravity. It was Justin Morneau of the Minnesota Twins. Remember, he tried to run over Olivo in an interleague game, and it was Morneau that had to go to the hospital, and Olivo held onto the ball. High pop. Hanley looking up at the roof, and the ball makes a catch. And Ricky Nolasco cruises through the first 2 innings. the king in his court, and the jester gets the traditional turkey leg. They love their starting pitcher here in Seattle. Hanley Ramirez back up there, and he goes after the pitch and hits it out to Franklin Gutierrez, one of the best center fielders in all the game. And he makes the catch. There's one out here in the second. Both pitchers are locked in. All your cooling brings us the weather, and you've seen the drizzle outside. Roof closed, then open, now closed. 60 degrees, and humidity not bad. A little bit of a breeze. A gorgeous day in downtown Seattle. And here is Greg Dobbs. Hope you had a chance to hear Frank Fort's interview with Dobbs, who arrived here in Seattle in 2004. That was the last year of Bob Melvin's run here as the skipper. They've run through a few managers since Lou Piniella was here for 10 years. Bob Melvin for 2. Mike Hargrove was here. John McLaren, Jim Riggleman, and Don Wakamatsu last year. And Tommy, you and I haven't had a chance to talk about the biggest news in baseball yesterday. The resignation of Jim Riggleman of the hot Washington Nationals. It's a 1-1 to Dobbs.
Nationals has swept the Mariners to win 11 of their last 12 games, and then had the announcement after the game that Jim Riggleman put in his resignation. And I know just from you and I talking and the opportunities we've had to talk to Jim Riggleman over the years, he's a stand-up guy, and I thought he had a point in putting in his resignation.
Here's a 3-1 to Dobbs, and it's outside, and Dobbs walks with one out here in the second inning.
I think when you have a major league club and you're a manager and you took over last year and you've handled them the way you have this year, the way the Nationals have, they're over 500 now, you expect a little stability, and you want to show your team a little stability. And that's all he was asking for. He wanted the general manager, Mike Rizzo, he wanted another discussion, the discussion to continue when the team went to Chicago. And Rizzo said, no, don't want to discuss it at this time. That's it.
And that had kind of become evident from last year to this year as Mike Stanton stands in with Dobbs at first and the count 1-0. It became evident that Jim Riggleman wasn't the guy. I mean, he wasn't the guy that was going to be the future manager. And it's hard enough to manage in the big leagues, but to manage in the big leagues and not have the support of the front office and the players knowing that as well. And I think that was Riggleman's point. He was put in such a precarious position, he said, because the highs and the lows, the valleys are so deep because there's such uncertainty.
One of the best lines I read in reading some of the articles about the situation was that he had become the permanent interim manager.
Here's the 2-0. And I don't think his reputation is as tarnished as many people are saying it is or writing that it is. I mean, I was in St. Louis last night, and Tony La Russa talked about Riggleman as one of the most respected guys in the game. He was a Whitey Herzog protege, came up in the Cardinals organization, and is as good a man and, as you pointed out, as trustworthy a guy as you'll find in the game.
Yeah, I disagree. Some of the things I read said he'll never manage again. I disagree with that.
Well, Stanton looked at the 2-0 pitch. He fouled off the 2-1 pitch. And here's the 2-2. It's in the dirt. With a guy like Hernandez, you may only get one pitch an at bat, or maybe one pitch a night to hit, and sometimes it's that 2-0 pitch.
And you also, you have to be ready for it, number one. You also may only get that one opportunity within the game. You may get that one inning where you have a couple of shots.
Dobbs is at first, counts full. There's one out. Stanton a check swing at a pitch that was coming up and in. And it looked like it caught part of that left hand.
Here's another look.
He gets out there to stride, tries to hold the swing, and the ball catches him on the knuckle, it looked like, for a foul ball.
So 3-2 again. Marlins and Mariners. Down goes Stanton, and he looks like he's hurt. That left hand on the swing, he reacted like it was a painful one.
Hernandez goes after him, runs that fastball in on the hands again, and gets him to swing and miss.
And that's a smart move by Olivo and Hernandez. You got a guy whose left hand is hurt, so where do you go?
You go with something hard on the hands. You don't want to give him something soft.
Now, John Buck has as much experience against Felix Hernandez as anybody in a Marlin uniform. Unfortunately, Buck is 0 for 9 with 4 strikeouts against Hernandez. 2 punch outs for the King, and he has walked a couple. And now he's hit Buck. Well, here comes Infante. Buck takes his bag. Dobbs moves to second.
This can't feel too good either. A fastball again, running it up and in, and getting John Buck. And right now it looks like Hernandez has his stuff. He's sharp with his stuff, but not with his control. I like the way John Buck just picked up the ball. Who was it a year or two ago? Got hit, picked up the ball, and threw it back to the pitcher. I want to say it was Cody Ross, but I'm not sure.
I remember Cody usually screamed before the ball hit him. Here's the first pitch to Infante. It's down low. This, Tommy, might be that inning. I mean, this is one of those opportunities here with Infante up. Now, you do have the pitcher on deck. No designated hitter.
And that's the other thing that, especially for the American League team, for the Mariners, they're going to have to process. They're going to go, okay, we're home, but there's no DH. The pitcher's coming up.
So you can pitch to the number 8 hitter differently. It affects how managers, I talked to Eric Wedge about this, how you manage the game depending on if you're up or down. You may have to take a guy out who's pitching well if you're down a couple runs. Here's a look at Wedge, a big league catcher, a former All-American at Wichita State, won a national championship for the Shockers. Here comes the 1-1. Now that is nasty. You can see the reaction of Infante.
Big curveball. That's one of those 4+ pitches.
One, 2. Check swing. Didn't go. And it's 2-2.
After that big curveball, looked like he came back with the split. It's hard. The bottom falls out of it. And Infante was able to check his swing.
So he's seen just about every pitch that Felix throws in this 4-pitch at bat. Two coming. And there's the fastball, 94 miles an hour. You know, the year that he had last year, impressive that he wins the Cy Young at 13-12. But in 2009, he was 19-5 with a 2.49 ERA, and he didn't win the award then.
Yeah, he finished second behind Zach Greinke, but he could have very easily won it that year.
Ooh, that hits Infante. And so Infante heads to first. Now, wait a minute. Are they going to say a foul ball? Infante is hurt. The only way that can be a foul ball is if he swung at the pitch.
And then you have to get help from the first base umpire. He didn't swing at that pitch. And clearly, Felix Hernandez is all over the place with that fastball. First of all, no, not even close to a swing.
Well, that's a hit by pitch by rule. If it hits you in the hand, if it hits any part of your hand, and you do not swing at the pitch,
as Mike Stanton did,
right?
He swung.
Now look, Jack McKeon is saying, look at his hand. And
I can't understand how an umpire can stand right there and look at his hand and not change the call.
It doesn't even sound like it hit the bat. You can hear it. It's the sound of and look at McKeon is pointing at his finger.
How can Scott Berry look at his finger and not change the call? I don't understand that.
All right, now maybe Jack is going to get some help from another umpire.
Okay, I can understand. He hears the tick. He thinks it's foul ball. Now Infante takes off the glove, clearly showing him where the ball hit him, and he's not going to change the call.
Now, possibly Berry thinks that he swung at the pitch, and maybe he's asking the other umpires if he swung or not.
If he thought he swung at the pitch, he's even worse off because he didn't even come close to swinging at the pitch.
How many times did you go to Starbucks today?
4 times.
I can tell.
It's right across from the hotel.
Well, Infante is obviously in duress. The umpires are conferring.
Not that this should have anything to do with the decision. But on the other hand, King Felix is all over the place.
And now that's Wally Bell. He's going to call Eric Wedge out. And I think they're going to give him the base. And this is to
by the way, that
soften
is,
the blow, I think,
that
to
is
Wedge.
By far the best manager mustache in baseball.
Yes.
Eric Wedge.
I would go with it. That's Bill Hahn-like. Now, the other thought here is this. You'd almost rather have Infante still at the plate because now Nolasco comes to the plate with the bags loaded. Now, certainly Ricky can run into one, and we've seen Felix have trouble with his control. And now Wedge, and Wedge's argument is, hey, how did the how did the call change after 2 minutes?
Yeah, I obviously you understand what Wedge is talking about, but if they make this call and allow Infante to get to first base because he was hit, it's the right call. Might not be the call that Wedge wants, but keep in mind, if there's any disagreement, go with the home team.
That's right. The home team should get the... Oh, wait a minute. Well, Jack McKeon came out, and he obviously had Berry inspect the finger of Infante.
I got another question.
Okay.
I mean, the Starbucks thing really has me going now. You talk about instant replay and how it's going to slow a game down. Why can't you make a decision? I'm not even talking about replay on this. This is a situation where a decision should be made within 2 or 3 minutes.
And this is a situation where replay speeds the game up in actuality.
Yes.
Because as with replay now, you're not allowed to argue.
I mean, what the heck can they be talking about over there?
Well, I suspect Wedge is saying, well, how did the guys on the bases change
All he
your
has
mind?
to say to Eric Wedge is he's got a bruise on his finger and he didn't swing. He's hit by a pitch. Now go back to the dugout. Anytime a game is delayed this long with 2 managers back and forth, usually somebody's thrown out of the game. Now Infante, as it should be, is headed to first base. See, the Marlins are also used to their home crowd booing because a lot of times there are more of the other fans than there are Marlins fans anyway. So this is a very comfortable feeling for the Fish tonight.
Okay, tomorrow, only 2 trips to Starbucks for you.
Okay. Speed the game up. Call the commissioner. This is ridiculous. There's no reason this should delay the game as long as it has. He's making it worse for his pitcher, who's standing out there on the mound.
All right, so the bases are loaded. There are 2 outs, and here comes Nolasco. And we've seen Felix Hernandez hit 2. And remember, the Mike Stanton at bat, had Stanton not swung at the pitch, he would have ended up at first, though there might have been an argument about that as well. He's hit 3 in a game before. If he hits Nolasco, the Marlins have a 1-0 lead.
We should have had the stopwatch on that one.
We'll see how this at bat unfolds. And Felix right now misses down low. It's 1-0. Do you think Eric Wedge just iced his own pitcher?
Possibility. You almost would want Ricky not to swing.
A strike and it's 1-1. Well, the one thing it does do, if the Marlins do not score a run, at least it turns the lineup over, and Nolasco's not leading off the next inning. Ricky hits the ball to left center field and hits it pretty well. Peguero is there, and he makes the catch. And the inning ends. Marlins leave him loaded, and we're still scoreless. As well, Frank Fort logged a lot of miles getting here as well. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Rich. You know, this is a home game for the Marlins, as you said, and, excuse me, getting a little bit of the home feel for next year because Safeco Field, built in 1999, has a retractable roof like the Marlins' new ballpark will. It has 3 movable sections. They move on 128 wheels. 96 10-horsepower engines power that roof. And, of course, we saw it open and close today a couple times. It was open in pregame. They closed it about a half hour before. It reopened before game time. Then when the rain started falling, it closed again. The biggest difference between this and our new ballpark in 2012 is the open area in left and left center field. So there is natural weather kind of creeping into the building. It's tough for the rain to get in, but it is open air in one sense, and that section of the park is open. That's where the Marlins will have their movable wall in the new ballpark. So the roof, very much similar, but different when it comes to the enclosure in the outfield. Rich and Tommy?
Yeah, this is like playing in a big carport when the roof is closed. If it's cold in Seattle and the roof is closed, it's cold in this ballpark.
It's almost like playing outdoor, but you do have the protection of rain.
Now, when they built this stadium, as Carlos Peguero is in there, Franklin Gutierrez and Felix Hernandez standing in. A roller pass first. When they built this ballpark, it replaced the Kingdome. And the Mariners were going great in terms of attendance. Of course, they had that great playoff run in '95. Lou Piniella was at the helm. So they had a lot of momentum and a lot of fans that came to games. But they had to put the roof on the 0-2 and a swing and a miss because they found that over half of the people that attended Mariner games.
I want to make sure South Florida is listening to you when you make this statement, Rich.
Half of the people that attend Mariner games live at the very least an hour away from this stadium. And so the front office felt they had to have a roof, obviously because of the rain, and they wanted people that came from so far away to know that the game would start on time and that they wouldn't get rained on. Here is Franklin Gutierrez, who is an interesting guy in that he's one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. A Gold Glove winner, Fielding Bible Award winner, but offensively challenged right now, and he's having a real struggle this season.
Not too many teams have a couple of outfielders. Piguero hitting 198, Gutierrez hitting 196 in the lineup. Well, Ricky has good stuff tonight. It's very clear early on.
This is a ballpark very similar to AT&T in San Francisco in terms of how the ball carries. Big gaps here in this park, and it's that thick marine air, and so this is a great pitcher's park. Just ask that guy, Felix Hernandez. Here's the 2-2. And Gutierrez fouls it back. Now, Gutierrez last year hit .245, a dozen home runs, and when he gets on base, he's a very good base stealer. He's still 25 of 28 bases.
Had 25 doubles last year, as you pointed out. Won a Gold Glove, a terrific outfielder.
In fact, he set a major league record last year for chances without an error by a center fielder. 415 of them, and that's a major league record. Gabby looked like he stumbled a bit as he went after that ball.
It looked like he was the only one who was going to make that catch, and I'm not sure if he stumbled. Right there as he kind of gets to the seam where the grass meets the warning track. I don't think he heard footsteps. I don't think he was worried about Infante or Stanton. I think he just tripped just lost his footing a little bit, just enough to not get to that pop fly. Unfamiliar territory.
To third. Dobbs across the diamond in time. And here comes Felix and his court down in left field. They go crazy with everything that he does. And it's great to see. That's
outstanding. I love that.
It's a great promotion.
I want to see something like that in the Marlins' new ballpark for a particular player, whoever it might be.
Just like Ricky Nolasco, Felix Hernandez has a home run in his career, and he takes a big hack and he fouls it back.
Yeah, his was a grand slam against Johan Santana.
Of course, he's 2 for 21 in his career. And he drives one into right field, a base hit. And that pleases the Kings court.
Well, Ricky just goes with fastballs. You can see how when that fastball is up, though, a little bit different and easier for Hernandez to get to, and he picks up his third career major league hit.
So he's at first, and it's back to the top of the order, and here is Ichiro. Ichiro now 37 a 10-time All-Star and one of the great players in the game. The numbers that he has run up in his 10-plus seasons are just astounding. You can see his career average at 329. And remember, he was a star in Japan before he got here.
That's what I like to do is you total up the hits in Japan and the hits here, and he's over 3,500.
Yes. It's 0-2. And this is where Ichiro is tough to get because he's a very good bad ball hitter. And with 2 strikes, you can try to strike him out with a pitch over the plate, and he'll hit it. And you can try to waste one and strike him out, and he'll hit it.
And he doesn't walk, so he'll swing if it's close.
Yes. Pitch misses down low, and it's 1-2. He has not homered this year. He's not a guy that hits a lot of home runs anyways. He hit 6 last year. And his numbers at 278 coming in, it just doesn't look like Ichiro, but he has hit in 11 straight at a 426 clip, so he's starting to heat up. He just missed. 2-2.
The Mariners hitting coach Chris Chambliss, a long time, terrific major league player. He made a great comparison with Ichiro as far as power. He said, oh yeah, he could hit home runs. He said, just like Boggs. Boggs hit singles, but Boggs could hit home runs if he had chose to go that route.
Ichiro rolls one to the right side, and Infante flips it over. And Ricky Nolasco with 3 scoreless innings in the book. Moving forward by AT&T, by Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste, and by All Year Cooler. Today's comfort, yesterday's prices. Downtown Seattle, up in the Pacific Northwest. Marlins here for 3, and then down to Oakland and over to Texas. Was that a shot from the famed Space Needle? I suspect it was. It's late night with the Fish. Thanks for staying up with us, kids, on a Friday night where the Marlins are the home team. It's the second time through the lineup for Emilio Bonifacio, Logan Morrison, and Gabby Sanchez. Their second look at Felix Hernandez. Both pitchers have been outstanding. The only hit of the game is by one of the pitchers, Felix Hernandez, with a 2-out single.
I think the key for King Felix is to see how he channels his control a little bit. I mean, for him, already he's hit 2, he's walked 2. Normally better pinpoint control than that.
Bonifacio struck out back in the first. pulls it foul. The rotation that Jack Zduriencik has assembled here includes King Felix. He's the headliner. The guy that came out of sort of nowhere, if you don't follow the American League, or even if you do, was Michael Pineda, the right-hander. Jason Vargas started to put it together last year and has really put it together this year for Seattle, a former Marlin. 0-2 misses up. Doug Fister has been an outstanding starter. There's a look at Vargas. Got him on a nasty 1-2 breaking ball.
Boy, that looked like that splitter, and that's one of those plus pitches.
Our poll question. Now, this is a great poll question brought to you by TicketsOfAmerica.com. Greatest rock artist or group to come out of Seattle? Alice in Chains, Heart, Jimi Hendrix, Nirvana, and I'm going Pearl Jam. 789-789. Logan Morrison bangs one in the gap left center field. Gutierrez and Peguero makes the catch. And there are 2 outs.
Yeah, some of those choices could be narrowed down to a generational thing. Myself would go with Jimi Hendrix, but with 2 sons who are Pearl Jam fans, it'd be hard to not go with Pearl Jam too.
Now, when I lived here,
but Eddie Vedder's a Cubs fan, so I might stick with Jimi Hendrix.
When I lived here, Nirvana was hot. Pearl Jam was just starting.
So you were more a Kurt Cobain.
Well, but of course Kurt Cobain took his own life, and then Pearl Jam really took off. Plus, I used to play pickup basketball with the bassist for Pearl Jam. Good guy, Jeff.
How was his game? Did he have game?
Shooting guard out of Missoula, Montana. I would run the point. He'd come off the screen, and he'd hit that 18-footer.
And you're a better man for it.
Yeah, very nice. 1-1 is a strike, and it's 1-2. Gabby Sanchez flied out. Now they're already on their feet and going wild out in left field. They smell the strikeout. And they get what they want. The King's court happy. The King is in the house. And we're scoreless. Seattle fans are treating this as a road game. Marlin fans, you can present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game to get a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game.
Just seeing that sign, the land of sunshine. They had intermittent sunshine this afternoon. It kind of peaked in and out.
Well, summer usually gets here in early July, but from July through October, this is one of the most beautiful places you'll find. Here's Brendan Ryan after the first pitch. Sends it into center. Bonifacio is there, and he makes the catch. AT&T trivia question. Let's flip the phone in Seattle. Mariners all-time wins leader.
Let's see. Could it? You're disqualified from this, Rich. Could it be? Could it be the only other Mariner to have won a Cy Young award?
Well,
Randy Johnson.
It's a Mariner left-hander,
but not Randy Johnson. Not the big.
I'm not saying it might be the big unit. I saw Randy Johnson throw a no-hitter here. Saw Chris Bosio throw a no-hitter here.
Chris Bosio.
Here's the 1-1. Adam Kennedy swings and misses. By the way, the news around baseball today after yesterday is that the Washington Nationals will name Davey Johnson as their new manager, and he will manage the team for the rest of the season and next season, subject to league approval. And so Davey Johnson gets what the team would not give to Jim Riggleman, which is the rest of this year and next year. Kennedy pulls it to Infante and flips on over to first. Now, even though it's late night with the Fish, we have to read this. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority, the Florida Marlins, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins.
We should find a way to reword that for late night with the Fish.
Put in saucier language?
Yeah. Appropriate, just saucy.
Edgier?
Yeah.
Of course, Edge will be performing shortly at
Edge
Sun Life
will be at
Stadium.
Sun Life pretty soon.
Yeah, I think they should have had a Bono lookalike throughout the first pitch.
Well, the good news for Marlins fans, especially if you've kind of struggled along with Ricky Nolasco his last few starts, is that Ricky has his A game out there tonight.
In talking to Randy St. Clair, when the struggle started, mechanically one of the things that they were concerned about was that left shoulder was opening too soon and allowing the hitter a longer look at the ball out of his hand.
Kind of an interesting comparison, and I think we'll show it to you when Felix Hernandez goes out there. There are the numbers for Ricky his last three starts. That has to do with that left shoulder as far as tucking it and trying to keep it in a little bit longer.
Struck him out. 1, 2, 3. Ricky Nolasco is through 4. The Marlins and the Mariners scoreless. its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FPLConnect.com to learn more. And by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. In Seattle, Hanley Ramirez, Felix Hernandez, scoreless game. And it's 1-0. Now, the attendance here is a little slight because these games were not part of the season ticket package. So when the Mariners sold their season tickets, this game was not in the coupon book. It wasn't included in the tickets. And it wasn't until early in the season that the Mariners went out and were able to sell tickets to this game. Hanley bounces one into center field, a base hit.
We're talking about Ricky Nolasco. You brought up the point about that left shoulder opening up. Some pitchers make sure they turn a little bit, and watching Felix Hernandez, watch how he tucks and turns. He really gives you a look as a hitter. You see his number 34 at the plate. He really tucks. There it is. And he throws the breaking ball, and Hanley stays back and sends it right back up the middle.
All right, in a game like this, you talked about doing the little things. With Hanley Ramirez at first, now we know that Felix Hernandez has a good pickoff move. He's already picked off Logan Morrison. And last year, Miguel Olivo was second in the National League in throwing out base stealers as a Colorado Rocky. Dobbs a little squibber, and Hernandez pounces on it and fires to first. So Hanley's in scoring position. Here comes Mike Stanton. And here's the AT&T trivia answer.
Well, you are right. It is a lefty. Didn't throw quite as hard as Randy Johnson.
Jamie Moyer won 145 games from 96 to 2006. Then, of course, went on to win seemingly 80 games after that against the Marlins as a Philly. Or it felt that way. Stanton now struck out. Be interesting to see how Mike swings the bat in this AB. Remember, he had a pitch off the left hand on a swing and then struck out, and on that swing grimaced and flexed his hand on the way to the dugout. Hanley's in scoring position. Mike with his 16 homers. And now the Kings Court will all get on their feet and get fired up again.
You know, we talked about the worst run support for Felix Hernandez last year. He had 15 starts last year, 7 innings or more, 1 earned run or less.
Hanley is running, swung on and missed, and he steals the bag. And Stanton had the bat fly, and he's not feeling well. That left hand is in some pain. He finished his swing, and the bat flew out of his hand. 2 outs, and here's Buck.
He just kind of throws it away in disgust, either at the swing or with the way he feels, his hand feels.
John Buck was hit by a pitch his first time up. It does put a little pressure on Miguel Olivo for anything in the dirt. And that does not look good. Hanley's at third, 2 outs, bottom 4. Both teams have just a hit. Kind of what you expected tonight.
Yeah, it is.
And a 2-0 pitch that bounces in the dirt, and Buck goes after it. You can see the Fox track. Hernandez hasn't come close to throwing a strike in the AB. And that one a dive bomber, and Buck swings and misses. And it's 2-2.
Boy, I think you've seen it all. You've seen sliders, splitters. You've seen the curveball, the fastball around 94.
Wow, another ball in the dirt, and it rolls away from Olivo. His throw to first, he beat it, and Hanley scores. And the Marlins are on the board on a Felix Hernandez strikeout of John Buck.
Well, we told you it's going to take little things, and in this case, a mistake by the Mariners. A wild pitch, a ball that gets away from Olivo, and he initially doesn't see it. He thinks it's right in front of him, and it's off to his right. He still doesn't see it. By the time he picks it up, Hanley's able to come in and score, and even Olivo's attempt to first, it's a great attempt, is late, and John Buck, give him credit, he quickly got to first base.
Infante to third, Kennedy across the diamond. And the Marlins are on the board. They score first here. By the narrowest of margins did John Buck beat it. 1-0. In Seattle for 2 more nights. No television on Sunday. But we're back on Tuesday night. Just as we look forward to the upcoming schedule, you can live forward with Just for Men hair color. Doug Fister, Honeyball Sanchez. On Sunday night,
we will not get to see Fister, but we will get to see the former Marlin, Jason Vargas, tomorrow night.
And Vargas has pitched very well.
Vargas against Chris Volstad.
Ricky Nolasco now has a 1-0 lead. There's your run, kid. And Dustin Ackley goes around on that check swing. Ackley, Miguel Olivo, and Carlos Figueroa. Now, Ackley's such a big prospect that when Seattle signed him, they signed him to a major league contract, a 5-year major league contract, $7.5 million. He was a first baseman in college. They've put him at second base.
Out of the University of North Carolina.
And a great player in College World Series history.
He would be a guy that we'll have to ask Jack if he ever saw play any collegiate baseball.
Well, he grew up in Winston-Salem, and he looks at that one on the inside corner. Nolasco strikes out Ackley, and Ricky is dealing right now. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, interleague play returns as the Mets look to move up in the National League East. They take on the Rangers. Texas trying to stay on top of the American League West. This telecast Fox Saturday Baseball this week, 4 Eastern, 3 Central.
You know how a pitcher feels when he goes out there after his team's just giving him 4 or 5 runs, giving him a nice lead. He feels in command. Ricky feels that way with 1 run right now, knowing how the game's going.
You got to be careful with a guy like Olivo, who's got the power to hit a mistake 400 feet.
That's a good slider, too, from Ricky.
Especially against Olivo.
You know, you're talking about this crazy series, the Marlins coming here for home games. It was just as crazy for Seattle. They had their 3-game series in Washington, D.C. and expected to go to South Florida to continue their road trip.
Little tapper, Hanley charging, and gets the out.
But instead of heading to South Florida, they had to turn around and come right back here for this series.
Well, of course, interleague play continuing. The Phillies, the division leaders, have already beaten Bob Melvin's Oakland Athletics. The Marlins will see the Athletics on Tuesday and Wednesday night, and a Thursday afternoon game. Figueroa with a big uppercut swing. He got off to a pretty good start, did Figueroa, a 24-year-old Dominican. He's come up the minor league system, 6 years in the minor leagues for Seattle. And last year, a big year in home runs in Double-A. He led the league with 23 homers, 73 RBIs. Didn't hit much for average, 234, but a good on-base percentage, 340. Anytime your on-base percentage 110 points higher than your batting average, you're at least drawing some walks.
And drawing some interest.
Yes. Nolasco off the mound, pounces on it, and then bounces one to Gabby, who makes a nice play. We're in Seattle. When we get back, Logan Morrison will show us how to catch a fish, how to catch a short hop. King's Court out in left field has drawn our interest, and Frank's out there right now. Frank?
Oh, Rich, of course, every king needs his jester. Much like the Batman villain, the Joker, do you prefer to go by just the jester?
I'm just Thudge Esther. Thudge Esther. You know what I mean.
I got you. Now, is this your full-time job, or do you have a real job?
No, just anytime that Felix Hernandez pitches, And we all get together and have a hilarious good time, and we're all best friends here in the King's Court.
How was the turkey leg?
Oh, it was juicy. It got all over my hands. I don't know if anyone saw it, but they passed it around. It was incredible.
All right, I don't know about your juggling skills, but you look good in the outfit.
You're all right. There we go.
There we go. All right, that's the jester, guys. Every king has to have one.
Frank, if we see you in a yellow shirt, we'll know that you're part of the court.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, they have 2 full sections out here. And believe it or not, the Seattle management at one point did not want people referring to Felix as King Felix. But they found this great marketing idea, and so it took off from there.
Because he's the king.
He is the king.
I think the Jester's made a few trips to Starbucks today, too.
The jester did not want Frank to finish by himself. He thought the interview was over. So I think he put a little something in his...
he might add a little something, yeah.
Here's the 0-1. Popped up foul and out of play. Emilio Bonifacio at the top of the order twice has punched out to Felix Hernandez, and the court's all stirred up. Oh, 2. Ground ball foul.
Well, you think about all the strikeouts, and we've given you many superlatives about Felix Hernandez. He's the 4th youngest to reach 1,000 strikeouts. And when you look at the other names, Bob Feller, Burt Blyleven, and Doc Gooden.
It's inside. That's why Seattle has signed him to a long-term contract. He's signed through 2014, a 5-year, $78 million contract. And he'll still be relatively young when that contract is up in 3 years. He'll be 28 going on 29. Two. Bonifacio ground ball, Smoke backs up, flips, and Hernandez is there. Here comes Logan Morrison. And Lomo with an adventurous day today. Lunch with Lomo. Pikes Place Market.
Back in Milwaukee. All right, so we're digging into the clam chowder.
Sausage, clam chowder. And there you go. Every celebrity that comes through Seattle goes out and has to catch a fish at the fish market where they throw the fish around. It is a lively, if you've ever been to this city, you know what Pikes Place Market is all about. The original Starbucks is there.
I'll be there tomorrow, but only one trip.
Morrison with the count 0-2. And he moves his feet, does Hernandez, shuffling Morrison out of the way. Lomo walked back in the first, flied out in the third. One-two. Chopper towards third. Kennedy scoops and throws. Got him. And Morrison is out number 3. Nice catch.
Palm Beach before July 10th to register to win a trip for two to see us play in San Diego, August 19th through the 21st. Trips include airfare, hotel, and tickets to all 3 games. Don't wait. Stop by your local Metro PCS store today. Metro PCS, wireless for all.
Nicely done, Gabby Sanchez. Franklin Gutierrez for Seattle as Ricky Nolasco into the 6th inning, a 1-0 lead. The Marlins over the Mariners. Franklin Gutierrez, Felix Hernandez, and in the top of the order, Ichiro. And Nolasco with 4 strikeouts in this ball game. Ricky has looked sharp.
Boy, he has. No walks in the game. Felix Hernandez has settled down. He's only given up the 1 hit.
Good breaking ball. One and 2. Nolasco 4-3. His last 2 starts not pretty. We told you his last 5 starts have been tough ones. But we've seen Ricky have stretches in his career where he'll go 3 or 4 starts and get knocked around a little, and then all of a sudden he'll run off a month where he's 4-1 with an ERA under 3.
Well, he's due for one of those runs.
Gabby's over to get it and steps on the bag. Hey kids, tune in tomorrow 8 p.m. and Billy's Bunch is on, presented by Players Edge Academy. This month's episode features a race between Brendan and Emilio Bonifacio in Versus. Catch Billy's Bunch tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Fox Sports Florida. Someone sporting the throwback teal. Here's the guy with the only hit for Seattle. Now, there are only 2 hits up on the board in the entire game. A Hanley Ramirez single and a Felix Hernandez single. The Marlins have the only run of the ball game. They got it on a Felix Hernandez strikeout. A wild pitch, and Hanley scored from third. And Gabby Sanchez makes this catch. And Ricky Nolasco sets down the first 2 here in the 6th inning. And Nolasco's pitch count very manageable right now, Tom. He's at 73 pitches.
Yeah, he's been in the strike zone all night. He's had quality pitches, the changeup that he used, the split, the slider, the curveball, the fastball's been live.
And here is Ichiro.
Hard to imagine when you see how hard it is for hitters to put together a 200-hit season, that Ichiro has had 10 consecutive 200-hit seasons.
86 this year.
And he'll go on one of those runs. It's the other thing that's hard to imagine. When I was reading about the way he got off to a slow start this year, he actually had an 8 for 67 stretch where he hit 119 during that stretch.
He's at 2,230 hits in his big league career. And, of course, he's only done that in 10 years. The gold standard to get into the Hall of Fame, 3,000 hits. I think if Ichiro retires tomorrow, I think he goes in the Hall of Fame.
I totally agree.
Just because of how brightly he has burned in his 10 years here in the big leagues.
What a moment when you think about that. What a moment that will be for all of Japan to have Ichiro go into the Hall of Fame here.
I was fortunate enough to be here when he broke one of the hollowed records, and that was George Sisler's all-time hit record for a season. I got to interview him right after he did it. And Ichiro, that was in 2004, had 262 hits. George Sisler's record, which had stood forever, seemingly, 257. Sisler's family was here. It was quite a moment. And as you can see from the signage that's behind home plate, it's one of the things that, and this is the Pacific Rim. As Ichiro comes to the plate, these games are televised live in Japan on NHK on national television. Ichiro is still such a huge star over there, and he has that bat sawed in half.
And you can see what a pest he is at the plate, fouling off pitch after pitch. They're all over the place. We told you he doesn't walk much. On the year, Ichiro has walked just 22 times.
The most he has walked in his career per season was 68, and that was back in 2002. And he hits a dribbler towards Infante, who has to hurry, and he gets Ichiro by a step. 1, 2, 3 for Ricky Nolasco, who has set down 10 straight. And the Marlins, and we've seen a lot of Marlins shirts and hats in the ballpark.
We've had a lot of Marlins fans on Twitter. I hope they were able to see my nice photo I took of Mount Rainier.
I have to make a comment on that, but first I have to tell you our
Please.
JM Lexus leaders of the game. You see the ERA leaders. JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Hernandez with a breaking ball that misses inside to Gabby Sanchez. I opened up this morning on an airplane my iPad, and they had internet service, and up pops your photo of Mount Rainier. That's coming back. Olivo chases it back, and it ends up in the well and out of his reach. You were able to capture just the very top of Mount Rainier.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, the photo was actually taken by Frank Fort, because Frank was on the correct side of the plane. I didn't want to lean over Glenn Geffner and Frank Fort to take the picture.
No, that would have been improper plane etiquette. So good work by Frank, but you at least have the technological know-how to tweet that and send it out.
I want to explain, too, why it's a tough matchup for a hitter to face a guy like Felix Hernandez. When you face a guy and he has one, even two really good pitches, you can kind of work a count. You can guess a little bit better.
And Gabby smacks one into center field for a base hit.
But when you go up against the King Felix and you know he has 4 good pitches, it's very uncomfortable. So anytime a guy gets a base hit, and Gabby is able to do so here, this looks like the splitter. He goes down on it. It's a pretty good pitch. And Gabby with one hand shoots it into center field.
When you think about it, Tommy, it can't be easy to be the king. And you talked about this over the last 3 weeks when the Marlins were having trouble scoring runs, is that every starting pitcher that went out there felt like he had to be perfect. And Felix darn near had to be perfect to get a win last year. Hanley a single and a big stolen base in this ball game back in the 4th inning. Hanley was at second when Mike Stanton struck out, and on that 3rd strike Hanley stole 3rd, and the importance of that was that John Buck would strike out with 2 outs, but the ball kicked away from Miguel Olivo and Buck beat the throw to first and Hanley scored, and that's the only run of the game.
Can't give enough credit to John Buck. So many hitters, when they strike out, are late in running up the line. Maybe don't run up the line all that hard. John Buck got up in a hurry. He doesn't have great speed, but he hustled as well as he can, and by doing so, got the Marlins their only run and the only run of the ball game.
Gabby's at first, 0-2 to Hanley. Struck him out. Seventh strikeout for Felix Hernandez. And here's that play. Watch Olivo lose the ball.
He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it. Finally, he picks it up, and you can see how he reacts. He makes a good play to release that throw as quickly as possible, but not in time, and the Marlins got their only run.
There are only 3 hits up on the board. The Marlins have 2. Gabby single here, and Hanley single from the 4th.
Gabby telling Justin Smoak, hey, I'm not going.
Yeah, well, that's what Logan Morrison told him when he got picked off back in the 1st. Dobbs before the ball game talking to Frank Ford, talking about coming up in the Seattle organization, all the great players he had a chance to be around. Edgar Martinez, Ichiro, of course, was here. John Olerud.
I thought a couple of interesting names that he mentioned were 2 guys who he would later hook up again with, Jamie Moyer and Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, they would have a rendezvous in Philadelphia and get a World Series ring altogether, and that's one of the things that's missing here in Seattle. No World Series appearance.
They have that 116 win season under their belt.
Runner goes, swing and a miss. Olivo's throw in the dirt, and it's dropped. And Brendan Ryan first dropped the ball, and then Gabby came sliding in. And Gabby Sanchez picks up his first stolen base of the season.
Well, gets a decent jump. He looks back, I think, at Justin Smoak and said, I am going. And I think he would have been out. Does he knock the ball out of Ryan's glove? Let's see. Right there with his foot. His foot hits the glove. I don't know if Ryan had the ball cleanly, but a good hard slide by Gabby.
Now an 0-2 pitch coming to Dobbs. It's a line drive to left. Piguero is over and there and makes the catch. So Dobbs hit it well. Here comes Mike Stanton. Let's freeze something. It's the Coors Light freeze cam. Oh! Logan Morrison would rather forget about that moment in time. The Frostbrewed Coors Light freeze cam. Good feet and a quick move. And an interesting at bat for Stanton. He struck out his first time up, was hitting the hand on a swing, and the second time up did not look comfortable swinging the bat.
And he's taken fastballs that have been right there. Not sure what the thinking is of a hitter. With the stuff Felix Hernandez has, your best bet is to sit fastball, and you might get one during your at bat. He's going to have a better chance hitting his fastball than his good curveball or his splitter.
And now Stanton bangs one off his foot.
And remember, Mike had a solid 2 games, his last 2 games at home. He went 6 for 9. He had back-to-back 3-hit games.
Yeah, the encouraging thing about those 2 games, the fact that Stanton came alive and that Hanley came alive. Remember, they have pounded Stanton up and in with fastballs and low and away with breaking balls.
Come on now.
Up and away with that fastball, and it's 1-2. got him. A dive bomber. Stanton has struck out 3 times. The Kings Court happy, but the Marlins have the lead. The art venue, unlike any other, with a retractable roof, air-conditioned comfort, all overlooking downtown Miami. The new Marlins ballpark is opening next spring. Catch the excitement and call 1-877-411-2012. Ricky Nolasco facing Brendan Ryan, Adam Kennedy, and Justin Smoke here in the top of the 7th. That's right, top of the 7th. Seattle wearing their road grays. The Marlins are the home team. And it's 2-0 to Ryan. Ricky Nolasco has retired 10 in a row since giving up the single to Felix Hernandez back in the 3rd. Three 3-0. And he walked him. Lead-off walk in the 7th inning, and here comes Adam Kennedy. And here is our Toyota Trend. Entering tonight's game at 37-38. It's the first time under 500 since the 25th of May. And the tough part for Seattle is they went into Washington, and as Tommy pointed out, their starting rotation through 21 combined innings and gave up 1 run, and they lost all 3 games.
Well, the heartbreaker was the first loss. The Nationals scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to win on that Wilson Ramos 3-run walk-off home run.
And then a 2-1 loss, and then the 1-0 loss with Jim Riggleman resigning yesterday. Ground ball up the middle. Into center field, base hit. Ryan's on his way to 3rd, and he's going to get there. And Seattle is set up with runners at the corners and nobody out. Adam Kennedy didn't hit it all that hard, but he certainly put it in the right spot.
Well, and that's why the runner, Brendan Ryan, was able to get to 3rd. Just out of the reach of Infante because it wasn't hit sharply. Ryan with a good bit of base running. Doesn't hesitate, gets over to 3rd, and it's amazing how that leadoff walk can always haunt you.
Well, here's Smoke now. Ricky has struck him out twice. The middle infield is conceding a run. if they get a double play ball. Smoke goes after a running fastball. It's 0-1. If he can get a strikeout here, then that would set up a shot at getting out of the inning with a double play ground ball. Smoke is just 24 out of Goose Creek, South Carolina. Went on to play at the University of South Carolina.
Kind of interesting, get the two youngsters, Smoke out of South Carolina, University of South Carolina, and Ackley out of University of North Carolina.
But Smoke was a first-round pick of the Texas Rangers, 11th overall back in 2008. Ackley, of course, first round for Seattle in 09. And he's on deck.
Good eye, good eye.
It's a ball and a strike. Jack McKeon. This is game number 4 for Jack in this second go-round. Ground ball. Gabby's going to come home, and they've got the runner hung up. Ryan in a rundown. Buck will run it towards him. Dobbs coming to the plate. Gabby makes the catch, tags out Ryan, but both runners move up. And the Marlins, unable to get the out quickly, lose a shot at an inning-ending double play. And good hustle by Smoke to get to second.
For a moment, and this is a heads-up play, but it's also a heads-up play by Ryan, the runner, to stay in this long enough to allow the runners to advance and to erase a double play possibility. I thought in a 1-0 game in the 7th inning, the right play for Gabby, go to the plate, but Ryan did a good job of base running, staying in that rundown long enough.
Jack McKeon is going to walk Ackley to get to Olivo. Olivo has bounced out and popped out. Velasco right now at 92 pitches. And so here comes Olivo. And he is our Warren Henry player profile of the night. 45 of the last 53 games he has started for Seattle. 6 different teams. Second time with Seattle. And of course a Marlin for 2 seasons, 06 and 07.
He had that 1 year in 06. Miguel Olivo struck out 103 times and walked just 9 times the entire year. He's a little bit better than that this year. He's walked 16 times already.
Infield is back for 2, except Gabby, who's even at the bag at first. Velasco against Olivo with the bags loaded in a 1-0 game. Ground ball, Dobbs knocks it down, gets it out, and that's it. And Seattle has tied the game. Olivo hit it on the button.
This would have been a great double play. I don't know if it could have been turned, but a good stop by Dobbs on a sharply hit ball off the bat of Olivo. Came up a little bit, got him on the heel. He alertly at least gets the out at third.
And as we found out in 06 and 07, don't assume that since he's a catcher, Olivo can't run. He gets down the line very well. Now Piguero with runners first and second. Off the end of the bat, Hanley in the hole has it, tumbles, and holds on.
Well, a good play there by Hanley just to keep this ball in the infield. Not only keep it in the infield, he caught it. Figueroa gets the infield base hit, but if that ball squibs by, gets into the outfield, the Mariners take the lead. So a good job by Hanley to make that play.
Jack McKeon's on his way out to the mound. Gutierrez is the hitter. Steve Cishek and Mike Dunn. Of course, when Jack became a big league manager in 1973, Seattle didn't have a big league team. They had a big league team in 1969 for 1 year, the Seattle Pilots. And they, after 1 year, moved to Milwaukee and became the Brewers.
So many times, by the way, Jack will go out there not to make a pitching change, but to get his point across and certainly let everybody know in the infield what he wants to have happen here in this situation with 2 out.
The leadoff walk is scored. The bags are loaded. There are 2 outs. Gutierrez twice has bounced out. And Nolasco at 95 pitches here in the 7th. Gets a strike.
That's amazing. It's just how concentration in this game is so important. It almost looked like just for that one batter, the leadoff walk, Ricky lost his concentration. Because after that, he's made good pitches. He's had good stuff in this inning.
Kennedy's single was a ground ball that trickled up the middle. Figueroa's was a squib shot in the hole at short. Fastball misses up. It's a ball and a strike.
But because Ricky is the 3rd hitter for the Marlins, when they hit in the bottom half, this could be it for him.
We saw the bullpen ready with Dunn and Cishek. Into center field. That's a base hit. Up for the ball, Bonifacio. 2 runs are going to score. And a 3-1 lead for Seattle with King Felix dealing. That's the best hit ball of the inning.
Fastball kind of came back. It was down, but Gutierrez with a solid swing. Just RBI 7 and 8 for Gutierrez. And boy, I tell you what, a 2-run lead with King Felix out there is pretty big.
And now here is Felix himself. Oh, 1 pitch. He went. It's a good thing Wally Bell doesn't have to appear before the King's court. Here's the 0-2. Ground ball. Infante waits for Ricky, who's there, and he steps on the bag. But the Mariners score 3 enormous runs. are going head-to-head in determining which is the most memorable of all time. Go to MLB.com/moments and vote now for your favorite Midsummer Classic. And then tune into the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Tuesday, July 12th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. A 3-1 lead, courtesy of the 2-run single from Franklin Gutierrez, feels like a 6-1 lead against this guy.
And for him to get 3 runs, he's not used to that either.
He has struck out 8, he's walked 2, he's hit 2. In his 6 innings of work, 2 hits, and the Marlins' only run came on a strikeout wild pitch with John Buck at the plate. And here is Buck with Infante to follow. And we'll see if the Cy Young Award winner can smell a win and is able to finish this thing. This is pitch number 92. And Buck gets hit. So it's the 3rd time he's hit a batter. That just a lazy breaking ball.
Lazy breaking ball, it's a little easier to turn and take it off the upper arm. We talked about it a little bit, Rich, at the beginning of this game, but somewhat of a historic game, this being the first time in an American League ballpark a game has been played under National League rules.
It's not the first time that the Mariners have been here and been the visiting team, though. Infante drops down a bunt and it's foul. 3 or 4 years ago they had that bad snow in Cleveland, and the Mariners ended up making or attempting to make 4 trips into Cleveland. Finally had to play some of those games here, and the Indians were the home team. Infante hits it hard to left. Peguero goes back, reaches up, and snow cones it at the warning track. Boy, Omar Infante hit it on the nose, and Peguero just got turned around in time.
One of the hardest hit balls, if not the hardest hit balls for the Marlins tonight. And Peguero, lucky that he was able to hang on, got turned around a little bit. Ball stayed in that glove, and he makes a nice catch, much to the delight of King Felix.
Jose Lopez, not the warmest of receptions here. A Mariner for 7 seasons. And a teammate, former teammate of Felix Hernandez.
Some good years as a Mariner.
Not all-star anymore, Jose!
His career average here, an all-star as a Mariner. Went after the 2-0 pitch, and it's 2-1. Well, at the very least, what the Marlins would like to do here, if they can't score a run, at least extend Felix a little more, with the possibility that they don't have to face him in the ninth. Because Seattle's bullpen has not been a stone-cold lock this year.
But they do like, he had a little bit of a slump, but he's throwing well lately, the job that Brandon League, their closer's been doing.
League watching, waiting, 2-2. And it's a foul ball. One out, bottom of the 7th. Seattle getting 3 runs in the top of the 8th. And Lopez yanks that one foul. The other National League East teams tonight, the only National League game going is Atlanta in San Diego, and San Diego's beating Atlanta badly in the bottom of the 7th, 8-2. San Diego on top. The Phillies shut out Oakland 1-0. Ben Francisco, a pinch hit game winner. Two. There's a drive to left. Peguero towards the line, coming in, and he makes the catch. Now this morning, Tommy Hutton, you led a group to a very special place in our hearts, the headquarters for Tommy Bahama, and they're big into baseball, aren't they?
We had a wonderful tour. Logan Morrison traveled with us. We had great hosts in Mark Jensen, Don Kirks, Doug Wood. We're all there showing us around. We got to see the real ins and outs of Tommy Bahama. It was a great day.
Here's Emilio Bonifacio, and he puts one in the air. Peguero to the wall, and he leans in and makes the catch. And King Felix gets his 3 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. To the 8th in Seattle, 3-1. About Carlos Peguero robbing Omar Infante of extra bases. Whoa! Home Depot doing more on defense. It started the bottom of his glove, almost rolled out. So the night is over for Ricky Nolasco, and what was a very promising start all kind of blew up in the 7th when Seattle got 3 runs. Ichiro will lead it off with Brendan Ryan and Adam Kennedy. Nolasco goes 7 innings and is responsible for all 3 runs. They're all earned. He gave up 4 hits. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Ichiro flips one out of play.
The run, by the way, and I understand we've had some tweets on it, that the Marlins got on that wild pitch. There's no RBI for John Buck. It is a wild pitch, and it's an earned run charged to Felix Hernandez.
And it's an 0 for 4 for Ichiro tonight. And here comes Brendan Ryan. Well, Felix Hernandez has thrown 7 innings and has thrown 103 pitches. No one has budged down in the Seattle bullpen. And as we pointed out, he's an innings eater as well as a dominant pitcher. He threw 249 innings last year.
He's got 7 innings or more 11 times, 12 times now this year.
Long run, and Stanton is there, and he makes the catch. Stanton turned around. Someone popped him in the back there. And Stanton turned and glared at the fan, and I think they're going to have that fan removed.
If I were going to pop a player in the back, it wouldn't be Mike Stanton, and I were a fan.
Look at that. The fan
guy actually stepped on the field,
stepped
too.
on the field and hit Stanton in the back.
Yeah, you got to get that guy out of here. The guy in the yellow shirt. He's very lucky Mike turned the other way.
Here is Adam Kennedy. Kennedy's base hit in the 7th inning was a big one. The leadoff walk to Brendan Ryan by Nolasco. His first walk issued, and then Kennedy rolled one up the middle. Well, that fan is still there. I mean, that guy not only reached over and hit Stan, it looked like his leg was over the railing.
I guarantee that guy would get up out of that seat and run fast if when the inning over he saw Mike Stanton running over toward him. Oh, nice job by Mike Dunn.
Mike Dunn finishes off Adam Kennedy, and it's a quick 1-2-3 inning. Catch by Stanton. Watch the fan go out and onto the field with his foot on the field, and he popped Stanton in the back with his glove. Now, Wally Bowell came out, and it looked like he was saying, get that guy out of here. Security came over, and at this point, they have not escorted the fan out.
And basically, they've sat there and laughed at it the whole half inning.
And now security is out there. I think they're going to take this guy out. That's the least of the Marlins' worries right now. Right now, their focus.
They're trying to take out Felix Hernandez.
And he has been outstanding, as advertised. The Marlins got the first run of the ball game, but of course Felix, as he usually does, hangs in there and kept dominating. And now that Seattle has put 3 on the board, the Marlins in the bottom of the 8th have Morrison up. Lomo pulls one fair. And he's out at first base. Justin Smoke takes care of him.
Been a tough stretch for Lomo. 1 for his last 15.
And the fan is being tossed out of here, I assume, because he looks like he's grabbing his stuff. Here's Gavin, and he takes down low. Sanchez is 1 for 3. He singled in the 6th. And right now, the Marlins have just 2 hits. Gabby Sanchez and Hanley Ramirez, both with singles.
And interesting about that, both with stolen bases tonight, too. Hanley and Gabby.
One and two.
Not letting up, Eddie. That fastball in the first inning was 94, and it's still 94.
Eight strikeouts, 2 walks. He's hit 3 batters in this ballgame.
2 with fastballs. John Bucky hit with that curveball.
Got him. 9 strikeouts. Just devastating stuff from Felix Hernandez. Here comes Hanley Ramirez. As you saw during that sequence, the authorities are escorting that fan out of the ballpark.
Hard to tell right there, Rich, if that was the, I think, a backup slider or the split, but I think a slider that just backed up, and it was a beauty.
Hanley 1 for 3 is flied out, struck out, and then singled up the middle. The Kings Court has been going wild from the first pitch. And the 0-2.
Well, the Kings Court happy to see an extra start from King Felix. This start would have been in South Florida.
Now, if he wins this game, does this go on his road record or home record?
I think it goes on his home record, is the way it's been laid out.
1-2. Got him. He certainly is the king tonight. Felix Hernandez, the 25-year-old Venezuelan, the reigning Cy Young Award winner. All of that tonight. Pearl Jam still being outdistanced by Jimi Hendrix. Not surprised that Hart only got 6%. Actually, a little disappointed they got 6%. I mean, Alice in Chains tied with Hart. Now, if it was Hart in Chains, now that would be something totally different.
And obviously not dancing to a Jimi Hendrix tune.
Mike Dunn in his second inning. Justin Smoke, the switch hitting first baseman. He's 0 for 3.
He has a 7-game hitting streak alive.
There were so many little things in that 3-run inning in the 7th, from the leadoff walk to the ground ball that just got by Infante, Kennedy's base hit, to the fact that the Marlins were unable to get Brendan Ryan in the rundown cleanly, and runners went over to second and third. Then the Marlins were forced to intentionally walk Dustin Ackley, and that brought Olivo up with the bags loaded and 1 out, and his ball hit hard to the right of Dobbs, and it just kicked out of Dobbs' glove. Marlins did get the out, but not the out they wanted. They would have liked to have been able to get at least the out at the plate. Bonifacio in, and he makes the catch.
Yeah, on that ball hit Dobbs, even if he doesn't get a double play, he's able to get the out at the plate. But it all goes back to, in a game where you knew would be low scoring, this kind of pitching, it all goes back to having to do those little things. And the rundown play, one of them.
Here now is Ackley to face the left-hander. And Dunn throws a strike. The Marlins will have Dobbs, Stanton, and Buck in the 9th against Felix. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anyone budge in the Seattle bullpen.
I will not correct you, Rich, because you are right.
A rarity.
Now, the bullpens have stayed the same. They didn't switch, did they?
No.
Because I know the dugouts didn't switch.
That is Seattle's pen out there. That's the one closest to the pen, which is a great gathering spot in center field in this ballpark. Just to the right of the Seattle bullpen. There's the pen. It's like a great singles bar out there.
It's almost like the group that couldn't get into the King's Court.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you got a better chance of getting a date out in the pen than you do at the King's Court.
Especially if you hang around the Jester.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. See, I don't think he's going home with anyone.
He's not
dressed
going
like that. There's a 3-2. And Dunn lost him. Well, Ackley works a walk. Here comes Olivo. And the Gunther Volkswagen drive of the game. And this shows you what kind of game it is when the drive of the game is one that just kind of gets up the middle and by Hanley Ramirez. It has been a pitcher's night. Franklin Gutierrez, a 2-run single. That's the difference in the game. I like the chant from the King's Court. Olivo.
They're especially enduring to the battery mate of King Felix.
Anybody that is in the presence of the king.
Almost, you get the feel. It's a cool night. You hear that chant, some of the yells they've had. It's almost like you're at a Washington Huskies game.
Or the Seattle Sounders, the soccer team, which plays next door. In fact, that's why the game is actually Sunday night here, is that the Sounders are scheduled to play on a Sunday afternoon. There's a soccer match over at Qwest Field, the NFL stadium, which is just beyond left field.
I was told they had 46,000 last night.
This is
soccer.
Yeah, this is the Northwest right now is the hotbed for professional soccer. Here's the 1-0. And it's pulled foul. Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver. Those are the 3 spots with the professional soccer teams. Seattle plays in the biggest of facilities. They are building one in Vancouver right now. In Portland, the soccer team took over the old baseball stadium, Civic Stadium, in downtown Portland. And so there's no AAA team in Portland anymore. It's now Major League Soccer.
Well, those 3 cities you mentioned here, Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver, all at one time cities in the Pacific Coast League.
See, you would like the mascot for the Portland soccer match. He's a lumberjack, and he comes out with a huge chainsaw and saws off this enormous log during the match.
I'm disturbed that you know that.
It's a big article in Sports Illustrated a couple of weeks ago, and I was drawn to the shot of this guy with the enormous chainsaw, and it's not a fake chainsaw. Here's the 1-1. Levo swings and misses. It's 1-2.
Well, it is late night.
He is a lumberjack, and he's okay. And you hear the train? That's the train going.
That is an actual train. It's not like in Houston,
where they pump the sound in.
Yeah.
Here's Dunn's 1-2. It's outside. The train track runs right behind right field. In fact, when the roof is open and it sits beyond right field, in the Marlins' new ballpark, the roof will sit beyond first base over the plaza area. When they built this stadium, they had to buy the airspace from the railroad over the train tracks. Believe it or not, so that they could put the roof over the train tracks, they had to buy the airspace. There's our live train cam. Frank Ford is out there.
Conductor hat and all.
Here's the 2-2.
I think Frank has an engineer. He's more in charge. Aren't you, Frank?
I look good in an engineer's hat. I'll tell you that right now. Hey, Tommy, you talked before about Miguel Olivo, and when he was with the Marlins, you remember that he's a guy who never walked, 9 and 14 walks in his 2 seasons with the Marlins. But look at him 2 years ago in 2009, he had 19. Last year, 27 and 16 coming into tonight's game. So he's been a bit more selective. Of course, that may not be saying much given his past history.
Two and two. This is a ballpark that holds 47,000. So this is 10,000 larger than the Marlins' new ballpark will be. It's a good battle here. Olivo and Dunn. Olivo to left and deep. And it's 5-1. Miguel Olivo. And the Kings Court can't stand it. They're going wild.
Well, you have to give Olivo credit. Mike Dunn has made some good pitches. He had a 1-2-3 8th inning, making good pitches to Olivo. He fouled a number of them off. It looked like he hit a slider and hit a BB down the left field line.
Here is Peguero.
Slider, didn't get it in far enough, and there it goes. You realize, Rich, that of Dominican catchers, Miguel Olivo has more home runs than any.
Puerto Rico is the place where most of the catchers have come from in Latin America. Brandon League in the bullpen. A long-time Toronto Blue Jay. One, two. And Peguero goes down swinging. So Dunn gets a strikeout. And of course, Miguel Olivo, it's good to be the king, but when you're the King's catcher, you get the special treatment. You get chants from the King's Court, and you get a hug from the King when you hit a 2-run homer. This is going to be an interesting series because of the contrast in starters for Seattle. You got Jason Vargas going tomorrow night. Obviously, a big difference from King Felix. Vargas, the soft tossing lefty.
He'll maybe touch 90 occasionally, most of the time upper 80s.
And then the Marlins will have to deal with Pfister on Sunday with Anibal Sanchez. So Vargas tomorrow night. Chris Volstad goes for the Fish. Soft liner over Infante into right center field. And Franklin Gutierrez, who came into this ballgame hitting 196, has a couple of hits. Now, with league up, the fans wanted Felix to go for the complete game. They're booing because Jack Cust has come on deck. Look, the King's Court wanted to see Felix finish. Fresh in their mind is the bullpen meltdown on Friday night in Washington.
Yeah, the other thing that Eric Wedge is thinking about, he's thinking about the long term as well. He wants his big ace strong for the remainder of the season.
Wedge is a good manager. He brought the Cleveland Indians within one game of the World Series in 2007. They had a 3-1 lead in the American League Championship Series over the Boston Red Sox. It's amazing how the Red Sox, in the 2 years that they win their World Championships, in one of those years they were down 3-0 to the Yankees in 04, and then, or rather in 03 they were down. Let me correct myself. They had that great comeback, that stirring comeback to beat Boston in 03. Won the World Championship in 04, but in 07, it looked like the Indians were going to the World Series. They were up 3-1.
He won 96 games in 07.
And Wedge was the American League Manager of the Year. He caught all of 86 games. It's a Palm Beach native to his left. Robbie Thompson.
Yeah, Robbie Thompson, the bench coach.
Jack Cust. Outside corner. In comes Brandon League. It is 5-1 Seattle. Trucker van, who are you going to call? 1-877-Marooney. And my Florida Power and Light, FP&L, working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FPLConnect.com to learn more. Well, the bottom of the ninth has arrived here. You can see the Space Needle in downtown Seattle. Miguel Olivo, the former Marlin. Olivo and Dobbs exchanging pleasantries, and Brandon League, the 28-year-old out of Del Mar, California, comes in. League, a hard thrower, second-round pick of the Blue Jays, 6 years with the Blue Jays.
Boy, I tell you, the thing that he's really lit up this year is that radar gun with sink. 95 to 97, but with some really good sink.
Oh, 1. Dobbs pulls it foul. Coors Light Cold Hard Blast, the first at bat in the big leagues for Greg Dobbs here in Seattle in 2004 for Bob Melvin's Mariners. Off of Bob Wickman. Oh, look at Wiki.
You know what? I think you could hear the late Dave Niehaus in the background making that call.
Dobbs hits this one to right field. Ichiro is there, and he makes the catch.
The other thing, Rich, which continues to be disturbing, we've had fun. We're in a different ballpark. The Marlins are the home team. We're seeing a different club. But a loss tonight will put the Marlins 10 games under 500. After being 10 games over 500, they will go to 2-21 in the month of June.
.97 miles an hour. Another fastball down the middle. Stanton has seen a lot of fastballs in the middle of the plate. He takes a breaking ball outside. Well, at the start of the telecast, Tommy Hutton told everybody this was going to be a game that would come down to doing the little things right. And the Marlins certainly have not done the little things right.
And really a lot of that came in that one inning.
Mike Stanton has struck out 4 times tonight.
I don't know if the finger has been an issue going back to that first at bat, but Mike Stanton has just looked completely lost at the plate tonight.
And not just on pitches he has swung at, but pitches he has taken.
He has taken pitches down the middle. See that first pitch, and then chased breaking pitches and other pitches that have been well off the plate.
John Buck. Brandon League right now is throwing heat. Buck has been hit twice and struck out. And he lines one up the middle. Ackley knocks it down and makes the play. And Seattle wins the first game of this series. Dustin Ackley, the rookie second baseman. Not a save situation, so why not give Dustin Ackley the Bank of America save of the game on a nice backhand stop and a throw to first, and that's it. Felix Hernandez gets win number 8, and the Marlins continue to plummet in the month of June. 5-1 is the final. The Marlins 33 and 43, and just 2 and 21 in the month of June. We're looking for a checkers double, so how about the 2 RBIs of Miguel Olivo? After the crowd in a long at bat chanting Olivo's name, he finally got a pitch to hit from Mike Dunn, a slider that he left out, and the Kings court has had quite a night. They see King Felix get the win. They see his buddy Miguel Olivo homer. And they see the Mariners beat the